except where them hands, where them holes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying?
This is why I train in martial arts.
This situation with Kaylee Game, who has been identified as being in a fight with Maurnice Declue. I am just going to argue this from a martial arts perspective, because if I try getting into right or wrong and who provoked what, somebody is going to be aggravated with me. And I don't feel like dealing with that. But I do think this is a teaching moment for people who are martial arts students, because it shows a few things. Number one, it shows that there are truly no winners in a street fight. The person who ended up going into a coma, Kaylee, is definitely not a winner in this situation because she got hurt. She got put in the hospital. And the person that put her in the hospital, Maurnice Declue, is not a winner either, because now she's facing charges. They may want to charge her as an adult. And at the time of this recording, since it says that Kaylee has gotten out of the hospital and she's walking on her own, but she's having trouble with the speech and interactions, and she may be showing signs of cognitive impairment, that's a guilt that Maurnice is going to have to carry around with her, possibly for the rest of her life, even if she was only defending herself. Now, a lot of people who I guess you would say are not on Kaylee's side are saying that, Maurnice did what she had to do because she was just defending herself from Kaylee, who was bullying her. And it looks like there's evidence out there that Kaylee was in a gang. And if you ever watched the original video, I don't think it's a hate crime, because it seems like they were both there to fight, and there are people there cheering Kaylee on. But despite that, this is why when you're being trained in a martial art, if you do the thing that's called one-step sparring, which is more in the Taekwondo and karate side of things, you're told to be defensive, intercept the attack, maybe hit once, put the person down, and then stop. If you're on the judo side of the game, you are told to throw someone to the ground once and then stop. If you go to the ground, you use grappling and restraining techniques. You do not continue to strike the person while they're on the ground. If you look at the actual techniques in the original video, which I'm sure you can find by Googling, or if you go to the source material for this video, Kaylee is on the ground. Maurnice is hitting her repeatedly while she's sitting on top of her. Maurnice is doing ground and pound. Where do you see ground and pound? In some televised professional fights. And that's all I want to say, because I don't want this to turn into a style bash thing. But you see ground and pound there. Now, in no combat sport do you see people being allowed to grab someone and slam their head on the ground a couple of times. But she only did it maybe 3 times at the most, but that's all it takes. You're talking about hitting somebody's head against concrete. And there was also a severe size difference between the teenagers. Kaylee's a lot smaller than Maurnice. So that's why in combat sports, for safety reasons, you typically have weight classes. So if there's a moral to the story, especially a story that I would like to impart to anybody that studies with me, you have got to be careful with how you defend yourself, because the people who are going to be judging you in self-defense they weren't there. You're going to probably be judged by people who have never been in a fight, or haven't been in a fight for so long that they've totally lost touch. They expect an amount of self-restraint and self-control from people engaged in a fight that I definitely think is beyond most 15-year-olds. I hope I can impart that level of restraint and self-control to any students of mine. I don't even think that I acquired that level of restraint or self-control myself until I was an adult with a black belt. The only reason why I know that I do have that level of restraint or self-control personally is because, unfortunately, I have been attacked as an adult. And I've had to. And I'm not going to go into the details to not protect me, to protect, people that have attacked me. But I managed to use restraint. Everybody is not some 7th degree black belt. And I don't think that everybody should have to conduct themselves as such. Because to me, this was two children engaging in shenanigans that people want to go try to impose all types of political and ethnic and all other sorts of agendas on it, when the bottom line is it was two people engaged in a fight. Two people engaged in a fight. And I'm telling martial arts students and teachers, if we can teach our students to look at things like this and explain to them how the ritual of stuff that we put together, or that we carry on, we pass on, how the rules we have in place for engagement, how if those are spelled out into a mutually agreed upon fight, the only thing that would get hurt would be maybe a black eye, maybe a busted lip at the most, but just hurt egos, hurt feelings, not brain damage, not brain swelling. And speaking of which, if I may pick on my primary style for a second, Taekwondo, that's why I don't like head kicks in Taekwondo, because you could kick someone's head, you could kick them in the skull and fracture it. They can end up going to the hospital. So that's all I have to say about this. This situation shows why you have to have restraint and self-control, even if you're just defending yourself, because the people who are going to come after you, they're only going to look at the outcome of what happened. They're going to want to punish. They're not going to be thinking about, and they're not going to be honest with themselves that if they were in the same situation, they probably would have done the same thing if they had the same amount of training or lack of training as the people involved. Because most people that get involved in stuff like this, you're not seeing two Mike Tysons out there. You're not seeing two Anderson Silvas out there. You're not. You're not seeing two Ronda Rouseys out there. You're not seeing people out there who have tons and tons of real world fighting experience, who know when to stop. You're seeing people who literally feel like their lives are in danger, or who are just afraid and upset in most of these consensual ego fights. But the thing is, even though something like this just involves kids, the outcomes can be pretty deadly. So I guess I could put this under my "This is why I train in martial arts" series 2, because I do think if people are trained in martial arts, it may give you the idea that you need to stop. Or it may give you the idea of you don't need to fight in the first place, because you already know that you can protect yourself and you don't need to prove anything to anyone. God be with both of the families involved, and God be with both of the girls involved in this fight. And one more thing I want to say before I close. Some of you think that this type of teen violence is rising. Maybe it is statistically. I don't know. I haven't looked it up. But 30, 40 years ago when I was young,
kids behaved like this then. To paraphrase Will Smith, this stuff is not new. It's not coming from out of nowhere. It's just finally being filmed. People are just recording stuff that they've done in the first place. I saw stuff like this and had to deal with stuff similar to this when I was in school. I've been the honor student that was attacked. So this isn't new. Maybe it's new because girls are doing it. They probably did it back then. And I just didn't happen to see that many of them. But I don't think human nature has really changed all that much. It's just that the iPhones allow us to record it. So thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Please share it with people like to talk about the martial arts in peace. And as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.